Good morning. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. It's 9 a.m. This is a regular meeting of Commissioners Court of Grimes County, Texas. We are at 114 West Buffington Avenue in Anderson, Texas. We're going to open our meeting with an invocation pledge to the U.S. and to the Texas flag. Would you mind standing for those, please? Let us pray. Father, again, we come to you with a thankful heart. We're grateful for the blessings of this life and the opportunities that you present us. Father, these are somewhat troubled times for our country and our state and our county, and we ask that you continue to watch over us and bless us, give us guidance and give us wisdom as we navigate these unknown situations. Father, we pray for patience from all that are involved in this, and that would be just about everyone, Father. So from the little ones to the older ones, we ask, dear God, that you give them patience as we work through this time of trouble and indecision in some situations. Father, we're grateful for the rains that we've had, and we just thank you for blessing us and keeping us under your guidance. We ask that, Father, that you forgive us when we fall short and forgive us of our sins. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Would you join me in the pledge to the U.S. flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. If you will be seated, please. We'll now go to agenda item number 2 for public comments.
I did not receive any.
Madam County Clerk, none whatsoever?
No, sir.
Okay. Commissioners, any public service announcements or comments that you care to make?
We have Saturday, we're having a food distribution at the Fairgrounds. I think it's from
11 to 2.
11 to 2.
11 to 2?
Yes.
Food drive?
Food drive with BB-COG in cooperation with BB-COG and area sponsors.
Okay. And from what I understood when they set up the date, and they were expecting a fairly large turnout because there are a number of people still suffering from the effects of COVID-19. Okay. Thanks for the reminder.
The one they had in Anderson at the end of the month, they actually ran out of food, and it's one of the largest in the county that's giving out food.
Okay. So we know the need is there.
Yes.
Or at least the people are showing up. Anything else? With that, then we'll move to consent agenda items number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Agenda item number 3, consider and take action to approve the treasurer's list of claims and bills. Agenda item number 4, consider and take action to approve payroll. Agenda item number 5, approve monthly report submitted by the county treasurer for April 2020 and authorize advertisement of affidavit in same in accordance with local government code 114.026, and you can see page 5 of this agenda. Agenda item number 6, consider and take action to approve budget amendments and line item transfers. And we have those duly noted on the bottom of this page and the next page of our agenda. Yes. So,
I have some revisions on that.
okay, and that would be Mary Nichols speaking.
We need to remove the one for $315,690 that was done prior to January. And then on the number 3, we need to reduce the top line contract services down to $36,793.22.
Would you start over on that again?
On the second one or on the first one?
We're at the third one.
Okay. Reduce the 58,287.84 to
Okay.
36,793.22.
Okay.
And then on the next section, the top line item, miscellaneous revenue, reduce that to 9,000. Can't even read my own writing. 9,774.50.
Also, I guess we all noticed there was a correction on the county treasurer's report. On the last line, 86 should be school resource officer and not general cash.
Commissioner, where are you referring to?
The treasurer's county report,
Oh, okay.
it was laying on your desk when you got in this morning. It was laying up here. If there aren't any questions, or do you have any?
I do. Is the treasurer out there in the hall or one of her staff?
I'll get them.
Prefer to have Heather.
Can you repeat that last one? Is this the one that you about? What was it? What was the number?
9774.50.
Since we are waiting
That's the one
on the
she was
treasurer,
talking about, the treasurer.
on budget amendment number 2, you said this was done prior to January.
It was, well, in the FI, it didn't show it, as already being done. But then we went back and looked in the Hill Country and it was done, and so we got it corrected in FI.
So it had already been amended in
Yes.
January. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In reviewing the report that you give us and expenses being paid, everything that's paid is on that report, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The concern that I'm having, not with your work at all, I just want to make sure that we are absolutely keeping track of all of our COVID-19 expenses.
Yes, sir, I have a spreadsheet and every department's broken out, every vendor, the amount, and now we're actually coding to a COVID line item.
Okay. And I saw where that line item had been initiated because I noticed in the tax assessor's department where we had a check to Abraham Construction for a certain amount, and I'm okay with that for the work that was done, but there was no indication on that report that that was a COVID expense.
Yeah, I haven't really been putting it in the description. I
Okay.
can have it on my spreadsheet and the department's writing on their invoice
Okay.
that it's COVID. But everything is.
And that's okay, Heather, I just want to make sure that every nickel and dime that we spend on that, we have a potential for reimbursement. So as I was going through that report, I'm going, that's COVID, that's COVID.
Do you want me to start writing it in parentheses maybe?
Well, if that's not too much trouble.
No, I can do that.
Okay, because I know that, I think the start date of those expenses was March 25th,
Yeah.
or the paying of those. Some of those the work may have been done prior to that, but I think we still need to capture that. And I know MJ out of your office is trying to monitor all those expenses also, is that correct, Mary?
Yes.
I think as of yesterday, we were about 17K.
And that's just the materials, that's no salaries or any overtime or,
Invoices, expenses.
okay.
Let me ask you this. You said you created a line item. What is the number on the line so that we'll know?
I sent out the email yesterday.
Yeah.
Or was it funded?
It's Fund 80,
Okay,
Department
I saw the loan.
494 of
Okay,
them.
Yeah,
Fund
next,
80, okay.
next week you'll start seeing the Fund 80 on here.
Okay, all right.
But everything is being kept up with, for sure.
And I know the answer to this is, yes, we do, but I want to ask the question anyway. When you have multiple expenses going to, say, Turner Pearson Foltz, or multiple to UniFirst, the uniform company, all of those are paid on one check, are they not?
Yes.
Okay, all right, because I know that for every check we write, there's a cost associated with that.
Yes, sir.
All right, and as far as you know, they do a pretty good job of making sure they tick those payments off because it's different departments.
Yes, I get a monthly statement every year, check them off, make sure they're paid, and if they're not, then I go to that department and be like, hey, I need this.
Okay,
So, yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the expenses report? Thank you. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion that she made.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion before the court by Commissioner Walker on consent agenda items number 3, 4, 5, and 6, seconded by Commissioner Dobianski. Is there any further discussion on those? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now go to agenda item number 7. Is Miss Lucy Pope out there? Good morning.
Good morning.
Good news, bad news. The bad news is we're losing Lucy Pope. The good news is that on her behalf, she has decided to retire, and what is it, 16 years of service?
14 years.
14 years, okay. She's been with the county in the various roles, currently our HR director, at least until almost the end of the month. Been with us for 14 years. And if you don't mind, Lucy, I'd like to present to you a plaque.
Yeah. All I need is to fall.
Come on up here, if you will. It says, presented to Lucy Pope, Human Resources Director, in appreciation for 14 years of service to Grimes County, Texas. Thank you for your guidance and dedication to the employees of our local government, May 27, 2020. And Lucy has effectively touched everyone, not inappropriately, but has effectively touched every one of our employees through the years in helping with service and benefits. A lot of them come to her for counseling when they've got issues, and sometimes they're not work issues, it's just life issues. So, Lucy, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucy.
And I understand you have some of your family here?
My granddaughter, Paige, and my grandson from Wyoming,
Wow.
Weston Pope, and his girlfriend Gracie.
So glad to have y'all with us this morning.
Thank
Lucy.
you.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you
You're welcome.
to serve Grimes County.
Yes, ma'am. We'll miss you,
Thank you again. Watch it, don't trip.
and thank you for your leadership.
That's what was going through my head. It's been a pleasure to have Lucy on staff, and as I say, she has done a yeoman's job in serving as our HR director, and it's not all just about benefits and schedules and things of that sort. She's given a lot of support and advice to our employees. Talita Coleman has been named as her replacement, but it's going to be hard to replace Lucy. Talita will be filling that position and blazing her own trail. So we look forward to having Talita on board, and we wish Lucy all of the best. With that, we will go to agenda item number 8, Grimes County Building Maintenance Manager Al Peeler. Update on ongoing projects, Grimes County Courthouse, Grimes County Jail, Grimes County Justice Center. Mr. Peeler.
How you doing?
Good.
Grimes County, what was the first one?
Grimes County Courthouse.
Courthouse. Everything's done on tuck pointing, repointing, as you guys call it. Looks good. We did our punch list on that, except for the stone. We had some issues that we didn't like on the stone, so we are making them redo that. Cupola right now is being tore apart.
And it made it through the storm this
It made it
weekend.
through the storm with no leaks. Boy, that's the first time in 5 years I can say that. Cupola's coming along. We're going to be close on deadline because of punch list. Komatsu is a very picky architect, and if he sees something on the windows that he don't like, he makes them take them all out and redo it. So
That's good.
Out of 88, he found 16. So that needs to do some sort of sanding or just take it out and redo it, or he didn't like something about it.
88 windows?
We have 88 windows.
But that's good. He's keeping an eye. I mean,
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely great for us.
we want it
'cause
to
on
last
down the
another
road-
125 years.
Yeah, on down the road, we don't have any problem. The doors are in production. THC finally, they approved. THC's been going through some rework. Susan Teets has now been named the coordinator for THC. Sharon Fleming retired. That looks good for us because she was our representative going in. She's been working hard on our door grant, so I'm 89% now. They look great. I can't wait till you guys see the new doors. They are awesome. They look, I've seen all the plans on them. It's gonna be great. So we might not hit our goal. We might be a couple days over, but we'll see. Right now, we're saying we're on goal.
Okay.
Jail, I talked to Chief Green to see when they can start letting us come back in with mold remediation and control system. Control system's kind of biting at the bit because they're now doing stuff at the Justice Center, so now they don't want it to pile up on them. And I get it, but safety is of all most concern. So the jail is kind of at a standstill, and then the project. I have been called out for other things, electrical and stuff like that, so we'll handle it and deal with it.
Okay, Justice Center update?
Justice Center, not much to update there. 1 pier out of 6. We're 10% on, not pier, beam, sorry. Weather just, it takes, because of the elaborateness, is that a word? The elaborate tying of the cages in the pier. I'm learning. It took them 1 full day to get the normally you would tie the rebar, set it in a cage. Well, this design is you gotta run it through the piers and then tie it. And we're not talking about a 4-foot piece of rebar, we're talking about a 40-foot piece of rebar that we gotta run it through there, bend it down, tie it. So it took them a day to do that 1 pier. We have 5 interior piers, and then we have a pier that runs the length of the outside beam. What did you say? Beams. So, but they're taking a day and a half to tie and pour and dig out. So it's going to take a process there. I
We
think
need good weather as well, North Florida.
Yeah.
we do.
That's been the problem.
And that's the problem, because you have carton forms with that. So if it's a 30% chance, they won't even bring the carton forms out for the beam. And we don't want them to, because that costs us money at the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, as far as the Justice Center is at kind of a standstill, but every time there's an opportunity, like today, he's gonna have, the Climatech run their underground control wire. They're making progress, it's just not the progress they'd like to make. We got pier caps still yet to put on, but again, it's the same thing, weather. And every day we've had a 30-40% chance of rain, and they're just not gonna bring current forms out, and I don't blame them.
Sure.
Any other questions?
What's the rain days on the count so far?
36.
36?
Yeah. I was at 37 about a month ago, but then they said, well, Al's keeping better track than we are, and I'm like, well, no, if you're at 31, I'm at 31. So, and that's where we're at. We're just once we get into some heat, not optimal to pour concrete, but it can be done. We just keep it wet. We should go like gangbusters. Our building is there. The steel structure is sitting right there.
Okay.
So we're just chomping at the bit. Good Lord, let us have about a week. We'd be starting some concrete.
Very good.
So
Any
Thank
questions?
you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Have a great day.
Carol's Office Furniture,
Carol's Office Furniture.
agenda item number 9. Carol's Office Furniture Global Furniture Group. Steve Dannenbrink and Linda Snow make a presentation of services and discussions of furniture needs for New Grimes County Justice and Business Center. And any elected officials that may be watching on Facebook or will be watching, if y'all will take the podium, please. These folks, I don't want you to get excited that you get to order your furniture this afternoon or tomorrow. These folks contacted me, I guess, late last year, and then early this year, they wanted to come out and say what their business had to offer. So as we get closer to any of the areas that may need furniture in their office to make it complete, we wanted to have options, and these folks called, and I gave them time on the agenda. Not a whole lot, but it's good to finally have you folks here this morning.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You bet.
I'm Steve Dannenbrink with Carol's Office Furniture. We're in Houston. We're a family-owned company. It's been in business since 1972. It's still the same family, second and third generation. And then this is Linda Snow, who represents the manufacturer. And Linda, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Global.
Okay. Global is a 53-year-old company. We started out with a chair that the average person could afford. We've been in business. We're a billion-dollar company and one of the 5th largest office furniture manufacturers in North America. I've actually been with Global Furniture Group for 36 years. So I started when I was 9, and I've been with them a long time. So we can help you with your furniture needs, and we're here to assist you, and we'd love to hear from you.
And Linda and I had the privilege of working together with furnishing the Navasota City Hall 3 or 4 years ago. And we'd certainly offer them up as a reference if you'd like to visit with the folks down there. We brought some literature that we'll leave for you. And we thought that at the appropriate time, if you could provide us with more information about the type of furniture you're looking for, the amounts, what your timeline is for installation, perhaps what your budget might be. And Linda has a very nice showroom in Houston that the city of Navasota folks came down to visit, and you folks might want to avail yourself of that opportunity too at some point.
Well, Commissioner Mallett and Commissioner Cox, Precinct 1 and Precinct 4, are part of our building committee. Okay. So they're more familiar with what's within the budget for office furnishings and things of that sort. And I don't know, if you're representing the manufacturer, generally what type of lead time do you require?
Standard lead time is normally around 5.5 to 6 weeks from the time that we have a good clean bill of materials with all the finishes and
okay.
and fabrics and everything listed, so.
Okay, well, our move-in date, we desire to be in March of 21.
Okay.
But as we've talked about rain days just a few minutes ago, that kind of pushes it a month, so maybe March, April, and it could go later depending on how the weather goes through the summer. Now, are you a billion-dollar company because you're high-priced?
No, we are not, just because we own Technion, which is one of the 5 largest in quality and such, but we give you the same design, quality, warranties that the big guys do, but you're not paying for the name, so it's very affordable and a price-sensitive product line.
Good, okay.
And very durable.
All right.
And the furniture would be direct shipped here, and then our crew would receive the truck, install the furniture, and then we would take care, if any warranty issues were to arise at any point in the future, then we would take care of that. That'd be our responsibility. So they're the manufacturer and we're the dealer. That's the way the partnership works. And we worked together for many, many years.
Well, if you furnish Navasota, then you know this is a nice part of the state to take a drive up to.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was
And I
beautiful
live in
coming up this morning. Yeah, she's in Congress.
Are you, okay.
Yeah, it was a nice drive today.
Well,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm just gonna say thank you. I hope you bought us some literature.
I've got a big bag full of it here, and my business card is on there, and Linda's got her business cards. Should we give it to one of you, or what would you?
Why don't we just leave them over on the table by
Table there.
our deputy, and we'll catch them on the way out.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Glad we, watch your foot on the cord there.
Okay.
Glad we finally got you on the agenda
Thank
to
you
come
very
out
much. We appreciate
and
it.
to meet you versus voice on the phone.
Right.
But we'll stay in contact.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you for this opportunity. We look forward to working with you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thanks a
much.
lot. Take care. Should I just? Got it, okay? Yes, sir.
We'll now call in David Lilly, Emergency Management Services Coordinator. Agenda item number 10, discuss and take action to extend the declaration of local disaster for public health emergency issued on March 16, 2020, retroactively to Saturday, May the 9th, 2020, when the previous extension expired, making any modifications in order to comply with the county's operating plan for Grimes County Judiciary and Governor Abbott's revised Open Texas Plan. This declaration will be in effect until a date to be determined. See attachment number 10. Mr. Lilly, before you start, I just want to say thank you for the service that you've provided Grimes County. I personally believe you've done a yeoman's job of keeping in touch with DSHS. It's been kind of hectic. It's been kind of crazy. We had maybe a communication glitch by advising some folks when we started working on this. But I think all of that has been taken care of. I know that there are people out in the public that say, by golly, we want more information and we want to know their address and their names. And you and I both and the commissioners all know that by law, that's against the law to share that information with the public. But I believe that the zip code map that you've put together with the help of Kat Lee and some other folks, I believe the way we've been able to bunch, and when I say bunch, kind of the community cases versus the TDCJ cases, because I think we're, of the, 105 cases we have now, 70 plus of those are over at TDCJ. So unless they have a jailbreak, we know that's not community spread unless it's guards or administration coming in and out of that facility. But I think the warden, I know the wardens know what they're doing and they have locked down where they've needed to. But I just want to say, you've kind of been 7 days a week, 24 hours a day since all of this has broken loose. I appreciate the involvement that you've involved me in keeping me informed and us working through, but you're even to the idea of you rounding up PPE, personal protective equipment, for our EMS, for our volunteer fire departments, for the sheriff's office, for the administration. I just say thank you. Okay.
Doing my job, sir. To clarify too, you mentioned TDCJ. There's been a lot of questions directed, I'm sure, to you and to probably the commissioners and to myself as to why we're not, what we report doesn't mesh with what TDCJ shows on their website. To clarify how we do our notification, when I say we, I'm working very closely with Chief Kukowski with the City of Navasota when we do our press releases. And each day I receive, well, almost every day, I receive a notice from DSHS. It either is a notice of cases that have been confirmed as of the last message, or a no change notice, which every once in a while we get those, and those are nice to have. That means our numbers are not going up. The way that we get the notices from TDCJ, they come through the SHS. And so that is working steadily. We're eventually going to get up to where I believe our numbers are going to match what they show, but we only report what DSHS reports to us. So we are working very closely with the warden on what we can report, but we also got to keep them out of trouble.
Sure.
They have their chain of command that they gotta follow.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, this question has come up a number of times, and I've explained it, everybody has asked, again, we're reporting what we're allowed to report, and DSHS gives our marching orders. So, just kind of to clarify that.
Okay.
Also, on this, this extension, I talked with Ponch, our district coordinator, and he did confirm that we can do a open-ended declaration, but he said what we should include in the wording of the declaration is that it would be regularly reviewed by the Commissioner's Court, and I can use that as an opportunity at each Commissioner's Court to give you an update on where we are also.
Okay.
But, we can do an open-ended declaration to where we can keep it indefinitely until such a time that we feel it's fit to go ahead and terminate it.
Do you have a copy of the extended declaration in front of you?
No, I don't.
Okay. I guess it would be appropriate for me then to read it unless one of the commissioners wants to read it. No volunteer? All right. It is a declaration, it's extended declaration of local disaster for public health emergency. Now therefore, I, County Judge of Grimes County, Texas, pursuant to the authority vested by Texas Government Code, Chapter 418, hereby amend and order, effective as of 2 p.m. on Saturday, May 9th, 2020, and to be continued until a date to be determined unless terminated or modified by an order. The County Judge of Grimes County, Texas deems it in the public interest to extend the below written declaration of local disaster for public health emergency, which was ordered and began on March 16, 2020. Whereas beginning in December 2019, a novel coronavirus, now designated as COVID-19, was detected in mainland China, has since spread throughout the world, and whereas the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a worldwide pandemic on March 11, 2020, and whereas extraordinary measures must be taken to contain COVID-19 and prevent its spread throughout Grimes County, Texas. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the County Judge of Grimes County, Texas, that a state of disaster is declared for Grimes County, Texas pursuant to Section 418.108A of the Texas Government Code. 2, that the county's emergency management plan has been implemented. 3, that this state of disaster shall continue for a period not more than 7 days of the date hereof, unless the same is continued by consent of the Commissioner's Court of the County of Grimes, Texas. County of Grimes, Texas. This, number 4, that this declaration shall take effect immediately from and after its issuance. Now ordered and extended this 9th day of May 2020, Joe Fouth, Grimes County Judge, attested by the County Clerk. Go ahead.
Okay, in item number 3 of this declaration, although in the paragraph, first paragraph, date to be determined, are they in conflict? 7 days.
Well, this was the original, and then we as a court extended it to I forget.
30 days.
It was 30. Yeah, it was 30 days that we extended. I don't remember the date with the calendar dates, and then the governor modified his orders, so we are modifying our orders to be in conjunction with what he has opened as he puts the state back to work. Is that a fair statement, David?
So that's why I'm asking, should that sentence be in there, the 7 days?
Well, this is a repeat of what we originally declared.
Okay, but, so, to be clear to the public.
Okay.
And to myself,
Okay?
until date to be determined.
Correct.
Okay. We'll move forward with a date.
To be determined.
Okay.
So if the governor extends or if the governor shortens the shutdown, then we'll come back with the date of declaration for the county.
But
it'll
this is
in
to be regular reviewed by Commissioner's Court.
It needs to be, yes, ma'am.
Yes. In fact, I'll make sure it's on each agenda for each meeting.
Okay.
And I guess it'll be like the burn ban. If there's no changes, we'll leave it on the agenda and move on.
Okay.
And part of this is just to make sure that from a legal standpoint, we're in compliance with funding and things of that sort. Attached to this, and I'm not going to read this, but our administrative judge, Judge McKay from the 506 District Court, had to put a plan together on the basis of what the Texas Supreme Court had issued, their order was issued, and he had to report back to the OCA a plan, and that plan was put together on the basis of our 2 district judges, our county court of law judge, our county judge, our 3 JPs. Was there anybody else, David?
Well, the constables were involved.
Oh, okay, yeah. The constables did have some information along with the sheriff. So,
And a point of clarification on that too, Judge. He did mention, he included in the plan talking about disposal of masks and gloves to have hazardous waste bags. I did clarify,
you talked with the hospital.
contacted Grimes County and St. Joseph, at large, and they do not treat masks and gloves as hazardous waste. It's regular waste, so you don't need to have a red bag.
Right.
It's still advisable to have some type of trash bag there where we can dispose of it on a regular basis so we don't have it sitting inside the buildings.
And all of our trash containers throughout the county are lined containers, so the bags are picked up and the trash is maintained within it. Commissioners, any questions on that?
Judge, I'd like to go back just a second and address one of the questions that Commissioner Walker had with regard to the day. I did have the opportunity to briefly discuss the City of Navasota's disaster declaration with their emergency management coordinator, and he explained that would be appropriate as a convenience item that the court at any time, seeing fit, needed to close this declaration out, could come back and do that.
Yes.
But it helps in the process because we don't have to keep continually renewing the
Right.
declaration. So.
Good point, thank you.
And Judge.
So that's why it's somewhat open-ended at this time.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am?
This, the attachment is a judiciary court, how the courts in Grimes County would operate.
That is correct.
Okay.
And Commissioners Court being one of those courts, we're under Judge McKay's guidelines for operation. So,
I don't know that, are we a court or a governmental entity? Even though I'm not disagreeing with being under his thing.
well, we're a governmental entity, but we are a court within that government.
And we do sit up under the district courts.
Yep. Yep. Anything else, Mr. Lilly? Thank you. Stay
Our
safe.
supervisor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving right along, we will go to agenda item number 11 from the,
Do we need to make a motion to extend that?
do we need,
Yes.
I guess we do need to.
Yeah, it says discuss and take action.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve the proclamation extended until further notice?
I move that we approve the proclamation to extend it until further notice.
Second. Motion before the court on agenda item number 10 by Commissioner Dobianski, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there further discussion on this agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Chief Green, agenda item number 11, consider and take action to approve pricing supplement between Transunion Risk and Alternative Data Solutions, Inc. and Grimes County. See attachment number 11. The floor is yours, sir.
Yes, this is our renewal for our, kind of our non-criminal checks that we do on frequent witnesses, suspects and stuff in our cases that to assist us with our case investigations on us. It's currently expired, so we're renewing it. They did change the fee. The fee increased $65 per month on this.
Per month?
Per month. Of course, this gives us 500 transactions. We stay well below that, but We're on a kind of a
Excuse me.
month-to-month basis right now.
Deputy Cook, would you ask him to hold it down in the hall, please?
And clearly the month-to-month is exceeding $175. This service is not only used by us, but we share with Constable's office and DA's office, and we can run these reports pretty much with a public record, more or less reports that we can run, any county office. But I know the DA's office, they use the comprehensive reporting more often than we do, and those cost considerably more. And so once we get back onto the schedule, then we go to the flat fee, and then we could run this many up to the 500 as we need to.
And who's going to be signatory on this?
If you want to be signatory or
Not necessarily.
or one of our, somebody's sheriff's office can be signatory. But it is 12 months, it doesn't renew. John C., the county attorney, has looked at this, and he's fine with it.
And do you have money in your budget to cover the $65 a month increase between now and the end of this budget?
We're going to make it work.
Gonna make it work. Does the auditor have a preference on who signs?
No, as long as the court gives them authority, that's all that matters to me.
Mary volunteers.
If there are no further questions or discussion, I move that we approve the pricing supplement between Transunion Risk and Alternative Data Solutions Incorporated in the Grimes County.
Second.
And do you want to be the authority to sign? Because it's not indicated.
Todd
in your-
Green.
Commissioner Cox, are you okay with that on the signatory also?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Todd, I'll need a copy of that after you sign it.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 11 by Commissioner Dobianski, seconded by Commissioner Cox, giving Chief Todd Green the authority to be the signatory. If there are no further discussions, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Signature Club. Grimes County 911 Environmental, Cat Lee, agenda item number 12. Consider and approve the contract for reverse 911 services and HyperReach and authorize the county judge as signatory. Good morning, Kat.
Good morning. The service agreement that you have, it is the exact same service agreement that we had last year. And it's just a renewal, same price. I do want to say that after having them for a year, we've been through a couple of disasters where we've had to send out some reverse 911 calls. We've done some for COVID. We've done some for some flooding. Everything worked great. Like the last COVID, couldn't get the internet to work quite right at my house. Gave a phone call, recorded the message, and it went out within 5 minutes. So.
Kat, can I ask you to give us a short description of what reverse 911 is? Because there might be some people watching on Facebook that normally have not paid attention to what that is and what that service provides.
Sure. Reverse 911 is an emergency notification system. We have a list of every telephone number with a landline, and it's automatically uploaded into the system. So if we give a call out, those numbers automatically get called. We also have another process where you can register your cell phone. It's on our website. You just click on the icon and upload your information. And so then whenever we get an emergency that we need to notify you to evacuate, we need to notify you that like we are going to have COVID testing at the fairgrounds on a certain date, shelter in place, those kinds of things. You get those phone calls and text messages and emails. You can also sign up for text and email through those.
And I guess that's the point I wanted you to make, is that if, landline is automatic, but if you have a cell phone, if you don't go to the website and register that cell phone, then you're not on the list for the reverse 911, and therefore when we send out emergency messages, you're not a part of that group that gets that information. It's strictly voluntary, and some of the audience out in Facebook land might say, I get all of the text messages, all of the calls I already want. That's your call. But if we do have an emergency or a situation within the county and you're not registered, you're not going to get it. So give that some personal consideration and think about registering through the website.
We had a situation Sunday evening that would, we could benefit from that. I got a call from the sheriff's department at 6:30, said that the bridge on 202 washed out. That's one way in and one way out on that road. Later, I got some phone calls from residents down there that wanted to know what we were gonna do about that. We could notify those people, because that road was opened up before it got dark Sunday, but there were people still at 9 o'clock thought the bridge was out. If they had an emergency, they didn't know that they could get out, you know, so.
Yes, we can send messages to a specific
Areas.
part or area of the county.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
very-
what does that link look like on our website? Is it,
It's a link, it says, it's a hyperreach
Okay.
link, it says hyperreach, and it has their logo on it. And you can get to it through the 911 addressing tab or the emergency management tab.
so it's not on the front page?
I
I don't think so, but we
I don't
can
think
definitely
so.
add it.
That was the time it was on the front page when we had the other.
And that might be okay for a 30 or a 60-day period if we advertise it to people. What I'm interested in not doing is getting that front page so cluttered with information
Yeah.
that people can't find anything. So we recently had a very nice cleanup of the front page, and it still gives you guidance, but so it's a campaign of getting people registered. So
Well, I would think if something that important,
sure.
it should be easy for them to go to, because sometimes it can be difficult navigating for maybe older citizens.
Sure.
So if it's right on the front page, which is where we used to have a link before it was hyperreach, you could see it down at the bottom, and it was a red marking. So just making it a
Well, I
little
don't think
bit
requires a commissioner's court approval, but if we get our county clerk, either you or when Vanessa gets, when Cherie gets back from vacation, let's put it on the front page for a 30 or 60-day period. Maybe you can report how many registrations you've had after 30 days. If we're getting some, let's leave it for another 30 days. And if we need to, maybe we'll leave it on for an extended period of time. But I am interested in keeping that front page fairly clean so people can navigate. All right?
I'd just like to point out one thing on the document that I have. It says all information in this document is confidential, and there's also a section that says references confidentiality. At this point, there's nothing in this document that I can keep confidential, so hopefully,
I think it's more, what last year when we talked about confidentiality, the main points were the confidentiality of the information that I'm providing to them so that they can provide our service. Because I do provide them our road file. I do provide them our address layer, which is scaled down, no names, no pertinent information, just house number, street, that sort of thing. But that's the main confidentiality is what they're talking about, and there's only myself that sends that data to them.
and that's not in here. I'm just saying, that's what this says. Somebody could request it, and I have to give it up.
Well, if there are no further questions, I would like to make the motion to approve the contract for reverse 911 services with HyperReach and authorize the county judge's signatory.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 12 by Commissioner Walker, seconded by Commissioner Cox. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Will you provide that for me to sign?
Yes, Sheree has a copy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 13, Grimes County Human Resources Director Lucy Pope, Toledo Coleman. Consider and approve the 2020 through 2021 renewal rates for medical and dental. See attachment number 13. Well, that retirement hadn't taken effect yet, has it?
yet.
Good,
Still working
okay.
on her last
Still
page.
got some work to do.
Still got some
All
work to
right.
do. Judge and Commissioners, the renewal notices and benefits for 2021 for the rates of medical and dental has come out, and they did go down. Health went down 2%, and dental went 3.1%. So,
Miss Lucy, could you speak to, I know originally, but I'm not sure if everybody's aware, we are grandfathered into
yes,
this plan?
Yes, ma'am. We are grandfathered in. We've been with TAC 21 years using their medical and dental. And so,
And your recommendation would be,
please stay with TAC. Please stay with TAC.
not only with TAG, but
But with this Blue Cross and Blue Shield, I think it's been a good program.
And the number of complaints you've had from our employees?
Very few, very few. They're having a little problems with the prescription plan that you know, TAC has given us, but we're working it out one by one. Is that Toledo, don't you think?
Most of them are aware that they have to meet their prescription deductible before it actually kicks in.
Right.
And so that's where some of the confusion in the past has come. And recent, when we've had issues with that particular prescription company, we give them a call and they've been fixing it right away.
and it's $100 deductible.
$100.
Yes, ma'am.
It always starts October 1. They have to meet their first $100 deductible.
And can you clarify the amount that the county will pay for each employee's insurance, please?
$784.92, plus the $562 life insurance. The life insurance didn't change. So, and then dental is $24.96. The medical was $800.94, and the dental was $25.76. So it's gone down.
How much is the dental?
The new rate is $24.96.
But the county doesn't pay for dental, do we?
Yes.
For the employee.
For the
For the
employee.
employee only.
Okay.
So make sure your spouse and your kids brush their teeth.
So we see a decrease of a little bit less than $20 if we stay with the current plan
Right,
on employee only
right.
portion.
And it's decreased as well if the employee needs to add their children or spouse. Those rates have dropped some too, so it benefits the employee as well.
So in the HR world or in the working world, is it common that employers pay the entire amount for insurance of their employees?
It's up to the counties. Out of the 254 counties, 3/4 of them have their, they give that employee that benefit. And so that's up to the county if y'all want to give that benefit to the employees. So, but I have checked into it and I was told that 3/4 of all the counties in the state of Texas, they do cover their employees because if it gets to a crunch, you can't give them a raise, at least you're giving them this benefit. But that's up to y'all.
No, that makes perfect sense. It's a great idea.
And I also want to say that in the back of your literature, you have a breakdown of why we should stay with the grandfather plan.
Yeah.
It would trigger a lot of increases, and it's a great benefit to stay with the plan that we have. And we discovered this years ago. So I think it's great that we've had a reduction.
Oh, me too.
And that's because of,
We paid more in than the employees used the insurance. They had, claims coming in.
So
We
less
had
claims.
Less claims
There
coming
you
in
go.
than what was paid in, and so that helped us tremendously.
That's good news.
So, yes, yes.
If there are no other questions, I'd make a motion to approve the 2021 tax renewal rates for medical and dental insurance.
Second. There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 13 by Commissioner Cox, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 14. Consider and approve moving the Road and Bridge Administration Assistant from grade 4 to grade 5, in addition to adding a part-time clerk at grade 1. See attachment number 14.
Judge and Commissioners, the job descriptions for both these positions were sent to you, but I would like Mr. Walker to discuss this with you.
Okay?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We have submitted 2 job descriptions, one for grade 5 administrative clerk, which right now Ms. Bobby is a grade 4, and we've added to her duties over the year. We prepared the grade description for that promotion to grade 5, and there are a number of things that she is being asked to do now that she was not asked to do in the past. One of the big things that she's taken on is helping out with all of the different grant applications we have. We've asked her to assemble the data that goes into that, particularly the CTIF grant that we're just submitting today. We've asked her to take the lead on preparing that data and compiling everything we need for that. The other thing we've also asked her to do, which she's taken on this year, is developing the forms that we use for our 811 locate services, where she actually prepares the form, prepares the maps, and submits those so we can get our utility locating process much faster, and that's worked out really well for us. One of the other duties she's taken on this year, with the advent of the FI system, the departments are now doing their payroll coding, putting in the timesheets, entering that. She's doing that work, which for 41 people is a lot, quite a bit there. That's new task, new assignment she's got. And then with that, we've been asked to scan all the bills into the system. And so she's doing that task as well. And I mentioned before this CTIF program is our TxDOT grant for the oil field roads. This is they last did this program in 2014, and they're recycling it this year. We're submitting that application today, and she's been asked to be the lead on maintaining the files, preparing the documents, and help manage that grant. And then the other thing she's taken on her own is taking all our permit forms, culvert permits, and all the other forms, and turning into those fillable forms that people can just fill out online and get better, cleaner information, and it's actually legible. She's taken a lot of initiative this year. And then the other, we have asked for a part-time grade 1 clerk. If that position is approved, then she would be also assisting and training that person on handling the phone and processing the work requests in those forms. So request your consideration of approving these 2 position descriptions, and then the funding for those positions, a separate conversation will be taken up during the budget.
So all of this is beginning October 1? Is that what the effective date of this, if it passes?
Before the new budget.
might add on the request for the part-time clerk, for budgeting purposes, we assumed that was going to be 20 hours a week. And I might point out that Road and Bridge has only had 2 administrative personnel since we went to the unit system in year 2000. At that point in time, the department was 17 people. Now it's up to 41, and we still got the same 2 admins expected to handle all that. And it's gotten to be a pretty big burden on them, and that's why we're requesting the part-time position to help with handling some of the excess work just created by having a bigger department. The county's grown, the department's grown, we get more calls, more work requests. There's just, and then right now we've got 4 major grants we're working on, so there's a lot of extra duties that come on the department. I think it's time. I know timing isn't great, but I think it's time the department had some additional help.
And you've also absorbed the duties of the subdivision coordinator as well.
That's true. That's true. And I didn't mention that before, but
It's a big deal.
I have been training Patty and Bobby both on handling the subdivision requests so that they can handle the routine calls. They've learned already, the answers to most of the simple questions. And that's how, I manage my workload is by continuing to delegate more duties to them. And there's only so much they can take on.
I need to ask the question just in case we're able to get assistance through one of the programs that's being offered. Are you seeing a lot of, how has COVID-19 impacted your operations?
Well, the field operations essentially did not impact at all. Really, the only things we did, the foreman's, morning meetings, they moved out of their office into the barn so everybody could spread out. And then we implemented a policy where the crew members wouldn't share rides in the same vehicle. We allowed people to take their personal vehicles to go to a work site if there weren't enough county vehicles to transport everybody, so we could maintain the separation there. So that's really all we've done on the field side. In the office, the 3 of us worked from home for about 2 weeks, as much as we could. And the office, the building, was closed to the public for a while. We're back open now, the building's back open, and we're pretty much operating, the same as, pre-disaster, so to speak.
Okay.
So
we talked about that.
We're back in full swing. Currently we don't have the in-person traffic. A lot of people are doing more online, doing more by phone, which helps. But it's picking up again now that people realize we're open.
Okay. So online, you're seeing an increase online of applications or permits?
People will call in and say, I need a driveway permit, I need a culvert permit, and we can tell them, okay, got the county website, you can download the form, you can fill it out online, send it in, we'll process it for you so you don't have to come in.
Okay.
So getting those fillable forms was timely, wasn't really related to the virus outbreak, but it was timely because it made it easier for people to do that work without having to leave their homes.
So you can associate some workload increase in your office to the COVID-19?
Yes. Again, it's changed the nature of what we do somewhat, rather than people coming in person, and stand at the counter and fill out a form for a permit. They're able to do it online, and so it's helped with just minimizing the contact between people, and actually made things more efficient in a lot of ways.
So this is a position we're creating?
The part-time clerk is a position we're creating, yes.
Okay.
And as I said, the department has only had 2 administrative positions since it was converted to the unit system in 2000. And they took, I guess there were 2 administrators at that time, one on each end of the county, and they stayed with the department, but that's been since 20 years ago.
One of the reasons, if I may speak, one of the reasons the commissioners and myself are doing a little bit of interrogation here is because the commissioner has been in contact with BVCOG and the Workforce Commission, and there's an opportunity, not for sure that we can get a person, but there's an opportunity that we could get someone in from the Workforce Commission that would probably be appropriate to fill this clerk position. So, and I'm not trying to get you to say something that's not true, but if because of COVID-19 we've had to modify some of our work activity, and because of that it's causing a bit more work for your office, then we could maybe justify or possibly justify to the Workforce Commission that yes, one of those people that you have available, we could use them in our road and bridge office.
Yeah, that might very well work out. And I presume they're offering people now, not based on the budget, but based on the current situation.
Right now, their offer is from June to June, from June now through June of next year. And it may be a situation where it helps you get caught up and then things are kind of back to normal, whatever that is, or it does indeed justify that we need to consider putting somebody in by the 22 budget.
And that might be very workable for us, at least a way to get started. And the sooner we get some help, the better.
Sure. Okay.
It's a year, 12 months, or 2,080 hours, whichever comes first, and that's full or part-time. So.
Yeah, we're, like I said, we're looking for part-time help. I think that would be sufficient for now. Any help we can get would be appreciated, but until we get someone in there and see how it works out, in the future, we may say it doesn't need to be 20 hours, it needs to be 29 hours or whatever. We just have to kind of judge that if we are able to get someone.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
If there are no further questions, I move that we approve moving the road and bridge administrator assistant from grade 4 to grade 5.
I second. Did you add where we're adding the part-time?
Yes, if we,
Okay, sorry.
and adding the part-time clerk at grade 1.
I'm just going to ask the question of HR. Do you feel like the additional duties and assignments that Mr. Walker has expressed does elevate it to a 5 level?
It does. Definitely does.
Commissioner Cox, did you get in on any of that review?
I did. I actually had a sit-down meeting with Mr. Walker, and he explained everything that he has on his mind. I mean, it's a phenomenal amount of work that's going on down there right now.
Excellent. Okay.
Seeing disaster after disaster here.
With that, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Commissioner Walker? Did I not share that?
I don't know.
You didn't.
I'm sorry. That was first by Commissioner Dobianski, seconded by Commissioner Walker. And you have 5 ayes. Agenda item number 14. Mr. Walker? Oh no, Lucy and Talita. Consider and approve moving the road and bridge. I just saw that. Assistant? That's one we just did.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Toledo, you're right. Agenda item number 15. Consider and take action to adjust Constable Precinct 2 Deputy Traffic Officers' earned wages for period 11/13/2018 to 9/30/2019. So this is a historical adventure.
Yes.
Okay?
Good morning again. Last time I was in here, we discovered that this position was not being paid correctly. And so it was approved to adjust his payment and pay him what we thought at that time was October 1 of 2019 is when he started. After that court I actually had a meeting with the deputy, and he informed me that he started that position before then. So after further research, he did take that position November 13th of 2018. So this is for you to approve his back pay from that date to 9/30.
Do you have an amount?
It's going to be roughly around $400. And I've checked with the county auditor, Ms. Mary says that there's enough money within that current budget under the part-time to move to cover those costs. So there's no increase to the county.
If there are no further questions, I move that we adjust Constable Precinct 2 Deputy Traffic Officers' earned wages for the period of 11/13/2018 to 9/30/2019.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 15 by Commissioner Dobianski, seconded by Commissioner Cox. Is there further discussion? And hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 16, Lucia Bata, Grimes County Elections Administrator, discuss and approve the contract with Vista SG for data management and paperless filing services for elections and voter registration department. See attachment number 16. Good morning, Missy Bata.
Good morning. Good job on reading that, Judge. It's really long. Oh, you guys have a copy of this already. Okay. So I brought extra copies. I'm sorry, I didn't realize Sheree had included them. So to back up a little bit on this contract is going to be a yearly contract. John C. and I have looked at it. We actually altered the terms to fit.
And who's
better.
John C. for the viewing audience?
I'm sorry, our county attorney.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Our county attorney did look at it. We ended up having to alter the current contract a little bit more to fit our needs. The company was very much so in agreement with that. The company that we're looking at is also a vendor with the Sheriff's Department. So we have vendor loyalty there, which is why they're a little bit more apt to work with us on the price, a little bit of a discount, and the contract terms. So that's really well for us. What this contract is going to do for us is take us from the current paper-rich environment that we're using right now with voter registration cards and filing, and take us to a paperless system, which doesn't replace the amount of data that we have to store on a consistent basis. It'll replace how we store it. Makes it a little bit more cost effective, makes it a little bit easier for us, because with us and the struggle that we have is we don't have a lot of storage space. We're in a building that we can't alter, we're in a spot that we can't change, and we do need to downsize on what we're actually storing right now.
And I'm sorry, his phone went off.
It's okay.
I couldn't hear what he said. It's storage of what again?
Voter registration cards, applications for ballot by mail, and some other records. So what we did was we actually took this contract. Typically, most elections groups and teams use this just for voter registration. I had them alter the contract and include in the workflow to take a lot of our records paperless and make it to where we can maintain campaign files, pretty much anything that I want. I wrote the workflow, responded back to them, and they agreed to it. So instead of making this just a single-use contract, it'll be across my entire department. So I can use it for both voter registration side and election side. So we get bigger bang for our buck. And I know that's a lot of time.
What's the record retention on a lot of this?
So typically, your typical retention is 22 months on election records. For voter registration records, it's kind of indefinite. I mean, we've got records from the 70s. These people have never moved, they haven't changed addresses, so it's a little different on that side. They are a current approved vendor with the state, so their retention rate, their data processing is approved by the state and meets the guidelines, so we can still use it for both. And with election records, because typically you don't want to keep them past that time frame, we can purge those very easily. I wrote that in the workflow as well. What works out here is I actually, in previous employment, I took 2 different large programs into paperless systems, so I'm aware of what needs to happen and how it needs to happen. I wrote those workflows as well, so I'm pretty familiar with it. They were able to work this process out pretty quickly. The only concern that we have is the cost. So our cost is going to be $22.50 a year. And with that, of course, we don't want to try to find ways to make work life simpler and add more cost to our department, because that just makes our budget heavy. So what we are doing is we will use our Chapter 19 funds to pay for this on a yearly basis. Those Chapter 19 funds, when they cannot pay for this, my budget can very easily support this based on what we've actually cut down on to make room for this. So it will not add an additional expense, it'll equal out. So it doesn't make my budget heavier.
And your Chapter 19 funds are?
Okay, our Chapter 19 funds is basically what we earn on how much we process voter registration record-wise. So you have big years and little years. Odd number years, you typically don't earn as much in Chapter 19 funds. Big years, we earn more. So your even years, we earn a little bit more because we process more records, it's usually bigger election years, things like that. So it's a quick and easy way to pay for things that we need on the voter registration side like this. But we always have to have kind of a backdoor or a backup plan because of those smaller years where we earn.
So you said it's 22?
It's $2,250. The initial setup is $4,150. That's going to be our initial year because that covers admin, installation, support, things like that. And that we can support with my current budget. So it will not come out of next year's. If we agree to this today, we will start the process immediately and we'll begin pretty much everything now in between elections, and we'll be fully paperless by next spring on record side. Not everything else is. I can't do that. I would like to try, but I cannot. So my current budget can support the whole cost, so there's no additional fees there. Next year's budget can support this with no issue, and what I did was actually reduced our budget that we submitted, our budget worksheet, to include this cost to make sure it doesn't add any additional fees. And I would like to add that this actually makes it possible where we don't have to add another staff member, part-time member, anything like that. It's a little bit more cost effective to pay for a program, and then we work it on our own with just my two-person team that's full-time. So we don't have to add someone else.
So is IT aware of all of this?
Yes.
Are IT
Yes,
on board with all of it?
Yes, I met with IT and our county attorney just to make sure. We have already played with the system and tested the system out with the sheriff's department, with the sheriff's approval. They are fully aware of our servers, firewalls, because they're already installed with the sheriff. So as much homework as we could possibly do with this and get prepped, we've done. What works really well is it's already installed on the sheriff's side. So the sheriff's team's got it, we're good to go. We know that hacking-wise, firewall-wise, it's compatible with what we need. So we don't have to worry about any penetration issues or anything like that, which works well for us. And like I said, this is a vendor loyalty issue. So here we're good because we know the vendor's already aware of our team and works with our IT department. Oh, and one more thing, we actually took this from a 3-year contract to an annual contract, which is a little bit out of their norm. Yeah, so that will also give us a little bit of room, and we only have to give a 60-day notice, so if we don't like it, we cut it. And we're good with no additional costs.
With that, is there a motion?
I move to approve the contract with Vista SG for data management and paperless filing services for elections and voter registration department.
Second motion.
On agenda item number 16, there's a motion before the court by Commissioner Mallett, seconded by Commissioner Dobianski. Is there further discussion? And hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Your agenda item number 17 to discuss and approve resolution prior to any grant funds be awarded.
Okay. So my next agenda item, this resolution, our county attorney John C. and I looked at it, we worked out and rewrote the resolution a couple of times to include the 3 grants that we're trying for right now. So we have 3 grants that are on the table for the elections department. The first one is the HAVA CARES grant. The county was awarded a HAVA grant back in 2005, I believe. That grant occurs usually every 10 to 15 years, that's kind of the normal. And HAVA is Help America Vote. So one of the things that we're looking at is that's the first grant. This resolution includes that one and 2 additional grants which are based on cybersecurity for both the election side and voter registration side. This resolution addresses all 3 and will include all 3. It basically will start kind of get the ball rolling on the compliance side of things so we can start the application process. In order to apply for any of them, we have to have a resolution that shows we reviewed it in Commissioner's Court and kind of discussed it, which I know that we need to. And this will get that rolling so we can start the application process to get those awarded to the county. So that's kind of what you're looking at right now. Now, I can dive into the grants if y'all would like a little bit. Would that help kind of understand what we're looking at on the resolution side?
Do we have a copy of the resolution?
Yes, you should, it was,
She emailed it to us, didn't you?
but I can pass around the 2 copies I have, so y'all can look at them, or we can make additional copies real quick, because it was the,
Yeah, I have one.
you want,
Because it was a different format.
forgot
wasn't
mine.
it?
yes. You want- so the resolution was had to be emailed to you guys and not included in your packet, just with time constraints. The judge and I sat in on a conference call, and then we literally had about 2 days to do everything, but they didn't give us the wording until about a day before everything was due. So it's a little bit of a crunch, and I'm sorry to have to email that to you guys, and with my fast-paced writing, get it all done.
I think through our discussion we had over the phone, I think you need to maybe touch on the HAVA.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay, so HAVA is the first grant that we're trying for right now. We have 2 grants, and just to give an overview, the 2 grants that are cybersecurity can be kicked off with an election security assessment. That happens June 11th through June 18th. So that's coming up, and that's something that we signed up for last May or June. So that's actually going to come up, and that's going to help us qualify for those 2. The HAVA grant is based on our voter registration numbers and how much we've earned in voter registration and what we have in Chapter 19 funds. That total amount on the HAVA grant is $24,588.57 exactly. Can I say it again?
Yes.
It's $24,588.57. Of that, we have to match, if we want to use this grant, we have to match $4,917.71. Could you repeat that? Yes, the first number is 24,588.57. Second number, which is our required matching funds, is 4,917.71. Now, this grant can be used towards the purchase of new equipment. It can be used towards the purchase and the need for any election site-based needs, like think COVID-19, additional staffing, stickers, signage, anything like that. What I would like to do is put this chunk towards new equipment. And this is why. Because new equipment costs a lot of money, y'all. It costs a lot to completely re-equip with everything new. Right now, we're looking at almost $400,000 in new equipment. As a county, it's going to be very difficult for us to support something like that. And we know that. Our current equipment is adequate for what we need right now, but it is very outdated. So we need to look at these grants to apply as a whole. The first step to do is to do the HAVA grant first. Now, with that being said, if we do this, we can apply right at $120,000 in grants towards the overall cost of equipment. What I did was I worked with our vendor yesterday and had them prepare a new quote that shows a little bit more of a discount on our equipment. So we're going to get about an $85,000 discount on our equipment because of vendor loyalty. I'm really big about that, by the way, guys. But it works well for us as a county. If we apply the amount of grants that we hopefully can get, that will take us down to under $300,000 as a county that we have to pay for. We won't get this opportunity again to pay for this and save ourselves the constant repair on the equipment that we have. So it is something that unfortunately, even right now, because I know we're not getting a lot of revenue, that we have to look at now, and we have to decide pretty quickly. Now, when it comes to, we don't have to decide on that today. The only thing we have to decide on today is whether or not we're going to pursue these grants and sign the resolution. The grants can be applied to multiple venues. If we decide, okay, we see financially, I like it, I know that you have big dreams, but we still can't do it. These grants can be applied to other things, and we do have a backup plan for those as well. They will help cover election expenses, things that we would not normally get. We've spent a little under $1,000 right now just prepping for the next 2 elections. They can also beef up our cybersecurity side of things. So I met with our IT department yesterday to decide, okay, if we can't do this on the grant side, what can we do on the county side to beef up for elections, but that can still benefit the county as a whole. So think firewalls, stronger websites, stronger development, bigger storage space. Because I share and I've moved to a shared drive on the election side, whatever I do cyber side will benefit the county as a whole. So it still helps us as a team. So if we do this, if we decide to do this and we can't do the equipment, the grants still benefit us one way or another. If that makes sense. And it's a lot of information, I know.
When you had the vendor put together their quote, how many voting precincts?
So we pitched out.
I'm not trying to create voter shock for those watching and listening, but
We pitched out, we looked at 15 first. It's expensive if we do 15, so we looked at 11. Originally, so for people watching as well, for the community, remember, we are vote centers. There is no adequate reason that we continue to operate at 100% open availability all the time. Vote centers means that we can at any election adjust where we need to do, how we need to open it. It saves the county money, it saves the election side, work, time, and money, helps us kind of be a little bit more efficient on production. We planned for 11. We would close down the least producing, least visited locations first. And look at that. Now, that is not something that's immediate. That's something that's going to be discussed anyway when redistricting happens, things like that, because some things will change.
After the census and all.
Yes, but we need to look at that now, because at any given time, we don't have to close. We just choose not to open or utilize one section, one side or another. We need to look at that as a whole just to become more efficient and be better mindful of the money that we're allotted as a county, as an election side. It's something that we've had many discussions on in our budget. This is actually, and I did bring a copy for y'all as well, this is the overall equipment proposal. The highlighted figures at the bottom are the numbers that we're talking about. And that's going to give you a little bit better idea of what we're looking at. And Mary, I will email the auditor's team an updated one because it's a little different than what I submitted to you guys about 3 weeks ago. So at the bottom, you'll see that total. There's a lot of jargon there. There's a lot of list of equipment. But one of the good things is the new equipment will meet any legislative changes that are happening right now. So think the discussion on paperless, not paperless, more of a paper trail, and things like that. So this new equipment will meet that. And any changes that have to occur, that could occur back, up to like 2024-ish when things might be discussed again, this is very easy to update at no additional cost. It will be included in that. So it's a good deal now. It's just whether or not we can actually afford it and can support it right now based on my department and based on the budget as a whole.
And this is based on 15 or 11?
This is based on 11.
Okay.
And is the county's obligation 275?
Yes. The bottom number we'll have to finance.
It's not the 395?
No.
Provided you get all the grants.
Provided we get all the grants.
And then the process for payment can be spread over more than 1 year?
Yes,
How many?
3, 5, or 7 years is the typical amount of time. The county typically doesn't like to do more than 3, I believe. So we would look at that as a 3-year basis right now. And I apologize, he did not send me that new breakout yet. I know we had one.
Is there an interest?
There will be an interest. I don't have it with me though. I can get that for you all if we need to. But yes, there will be an interest rate, especially at the 3. We had that at the original submission that we looked at for the new equipment just to kind of see what our numbers look like. He couldn't give me that fast enough when we talked yesterday very quickly to get this together.
Depending on what the interest rate is, we could also look at some other vendors that help counties get loans, you know, at lesser amounts.
Yes. And I would like to add to, so one of the things that I informed the judge of when I first started here last year was, I have a background with nonprofits, so I understand when it comes to budget constraints. One of the things that we started looking at last year and we were able to achieve this year with our budget is to reduce some of our costs without new equipment, reduce some of the costs that we have now. Every year we're going to strive to that so we can afford something like this. We're going to have to spend money to make money. Election doesn't make a lot, I'm sorry. But it does keep everybody working. But the good thing with this is that if we can continue to do this, it does make it more efficient when it comes to storage, the amount of time it takes to deliver, the amount of manpower it takes to deliver, which in turn reduces the amount of staff that have to pay to get elections set up, to get them started, to work on that. And staffing is a big cost. I mean, just in a runoff, you could look at a $10,000 amount just for staff alone. And that's a lot. And that includes setup, equipment, because the equipment's big. And I'm a farm girl, but it's big, the current equipment we have. The new stuff is a little bit smaller, so a little bit easier to tote, and we can do it with less amount of people.
So if we get an anticipated amount of 120,000, then we're looking at 275,000
yes,
for 11 polling places to be covered with new equipment.
And there are 2 grants that we have to match with. The one that's at $4,900, the number that I gave you earlier, that we can match at a current budget, so we're fine. There's another grant that we have to match at 20%, which is $16,000. That's part of those other 2 cybersecurity grants. That one, we will have to look at our budget and make sure that we can afford it and make sure that we can match and do. And that's just kind of a skin in the game concept. You have to remember that they want to see that we can financially do this and support it without just handing out the grant money. So those two grants, we'll look at that match once we're finished with the election security. But this current match for the HAVA grant, that's a $25,000 grant, we can do that now at a current budget. That will not take any more money. I do not have to move anything around.
So the two cyber grants, they both have a match?
Only one does. Only one does, and that's that 20%. I believe that's the 2020 cybersecurity grant. The 2018 one does not have a match.
So we would, in essence, in order to get all three grants, we're gonna be looking at about $20,000?
Yes.
Matching
Oh,
funds?
yes and no, because the grant that we're looking at right now, that match I can come up with now based on 19 funds and budget funds, so we're not gonna have to spend an additional. That's in current budget money that's already allotted.
So this is current,
Yes.
Currently you have this amount, this 4,000.
49.
You don't have the 16.
Not yet. We just got that information. I haven't prepped that one or even looked at the budget to really, I've looked at it a little bit, so I have an idea of where we can pull the majority of it from without having to ask the county for any additional out of general fund, is that the correct term? Okay, out of general fund. So elections can carry, I hate to say the majority, elections can carry the majority of it. I can. We just need to look at the numbers before I can say 100%, yes, I can definitely do that. I would like to tackle resolution first grant first, because the next one, we have to do an assessment before we can even start the application process and do. So we've got a little time. Anything I've learned, one thing at a time.
So your action today is just to get the ball rolling with the resolutions that you
Yes.
need to put forth, and you can use the same resolution for both
Yes.
grants.
The resolution actually is worded and says that it's for all three grants, based on the current grant for HAVA and the other two for cybersecurity. So by signing one, you cover three, and I move forward, and then come back and talk to all of y'all in June.
It's just a lot of information I'm not comfortable with without having first laid eyes on it. This is the first that I've heard about it, other than the agenda items, which there was nothing in our packet, or at least in my packet, that would reference any of the grants.
Commissioner, you didn't see the email with the resolution? Okay.
Um,
Did any of you see that email?
I did, we had the conversation about
Okay.
it.
I wanted to make sure I didn't make a mistake and leave somebody else. I could have.
That being said, I didn't personally see it. So I don't, where do the funds come from? Where are they coming from?
Where are they coming from? So HAVA and CARES, the CARES grant in regards to COVID-19, it's kind of coming from that and election security base. So it's a federal and state base. We'll report to the state first, though. Does that make sense?
If you go out for the grants, do we have to accept the grants?
No. Okay. So with the first grant, the HAVA grant, that's $24,000. Whatever we don't spend goes right back to them. So at this point, this grant is almost a plus to us because we have the budget money right now. So it's almost kind of a plus to at least do the first one. The next two, definitely not. If we decide, hey, we can't afford the 18 and 20, we can only afford the one, that has no match. Okay, we'll look at that too, and we'll decide, okay, we need to back up on the equipment and beef up our cybersecurity side, which is still a benefit. Remember, guys, if we don't do equipment, it's not like we're going to plunge down to a deep, dark abyss. We have backup plans that will still beef up what we're doing now. Equipment can still be maintained. I believe that when we discussed a few months ago new equipment, I told you guys we can make it through a couple more elections. Our equipment's strong enough that we will make it. It's a little shaky in some areas, but we know what to do and how to do it to where if we need to repair it, we can. With the election, the security grants, we can apply for one of those versus and the one that doesn't have a 20% match and use that to beef up cyber side of things, which benefits everyone, and do more things that way. We can beef up some of the equipment that we use in-house, not necessarily election equipment. So there's always a side. I will never come to you guys with just one plan of action. We have a POA for several other avenues that we can do that still benefits the county as a whole and elections and makes us stronger.
What's your timeline like?
So the HAVA grant is the tightest timeline. That one, I believe, has to be spent by December of this year.
No, for applying.
For applying, the faster the better. The email on the DocuWare sign, or DocuShare sign is sent directly to the judge. So what I have is just the document itself. It doesn't reference the actual timeline of how you have to get it done by now. What most everyone is doing is moving as quickly as possible to at least get the resolution done, because it just takes time to get everything else done on the flip side. Plus, we've got a runoff coming up, so it's kind of our runoff will be fairly quiet for us, but we've got to look at it.
So if we approve the resolution today, we're not obligated
No,
financially for anything,
No.
but it does allow you to move forward. It does allow us to
Yes.
get more information and
yes.
research.
I will never bring a grant to the county or sign any grant paperwork without coming here first, even if it's on a public comment side, and meet with our auditors as well. I will never bring you a grant, whether it's required or not. You will always have a conversation first.
Never's a long time.
It is a long time, but I'm young, I can do it. I'm a baby. I know it, I'm aware. Yes, Commissioner.
You have $4,917 of matching funds that you say your budget can cover and
Yes.
absorb. We also had roughly $4,000 in the last agenda item, so that's
Yes.
about $9,000 of
Yes.
money.
I have
What-
6,100 right now in Chapter 19 funds. I have an additional 5 that I can skew from other budget line items and move into it. So yes, I have about 10 grand that I'm ready to roll with.
Well, I'm going to get the ball rolling. I'm going to make a motion to approve the resolution prior to any grant funds being awarded on our agenda item number 17.
I'll second it.
Can somebody rescue me? My pen just died. I'll have to keep this now.
Yeah, you can sanitize it, but you'll have to give it back, okay?
There you go. Is that the way it works, Commissioner?
Yeah, I have
I'm
my
gonna let- I'm
favorite
gonna take her
pens,
second
okay?
since it's not me that pen. We have a motion before the court on agenda item number 17 by County Judge Joe Faust, seconded by Commissioner Walker. Is there further discussion?
Judge, I'll abstain from voting. I just don't feel comfortable. I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, that's, well, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain?
Aye.
1. Okay, thank you. County Clerk got that record?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And Judge, I'll have you sign your.
Sure. And double check your record to make sure Commissioner Cox does, even if he got it, send him another copy of that resolution so he has it, please.
Okay.
All right?
No problem. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. You sure?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Agenda item number 18, Grimes County Clerk Vanessa Brzezinski, consider and take action to create a new line item for the county clerk for cell phone service. Funds from rentals and contracts will be moved to cover the cost of the cell phone for the remainder of this year.
So I'm passing out a copy of a new law that was passed that went into effect on September 1st regarding public information and cell phones and elected officials. I'm also giving you a copy of my budget so that we can see where the money's coming from. So I was speaking with Greg Cannon. I'm requesting to get a cell phone for myself in lieu of the fact that this new law went into effect September 1st. And I'll just kind of briefly read it to you. Public information by an individual officer or employee of a governmental body in the officer's or employee's official capacity. The information pertains to official business of the governmental body. Information is in connection with the transaction of official business if the information is created by, transmitted to, received by, or maintained by an officer or an employee of the governmental body in the officer's or employer's official capacity, or a person or entity performing official business or a governmental function on behalf of a governmental body and pertains to official business of the government body. General forms can include email, internet posting, text messaging, instant messaging, and other electronic communications. So the section that I'm referring to now is the one I gave you on preservation of information. And it states that a current or former officer or employee of a governmental body who maintains public information on a privately owned device as a cell phone shall forward or transfer the public information to the governmental body or a governmental body's server to be preserved and as provided by subsection A, or to preserve the public information in its original form in a backup or archive on a privately known device for the time described. So, with that being said, I have been using my personal cell phone on occasion for county business on weekends, holidays, when we were on quarantine for 14 days and working from home. So to protect myself, I think it's in my best interest to obtain a county cell phone so that I do not put myself at risk by using my personal cell phone. So with that being said, I was told that I didn't have a line item for cell phones and that I would have to have one added. And the cost, Greg told me, would be around $50 a month. And so to cover this year, if I was to get, he's ordered one for me, if I start, that's 4 months, and it would be about $200. I have money in rentals and contracts that is not being spent because I no longer have a copier. And if you look, there's about $3,500 in that account. So that would, we could move, $300 out of that account into that cell phone line item and should cover it until October.
When you say you no longer have a copier, was that expenses in IT?
We had leased a copier from Xerox,
Right.
and on January 1st, we purchased a copier from UBO, and that came out of the IT budget, and so I no longer have that monthly expense.
But you
for
do
that
have a copier.
I do have a copier.
I just don't want people watching in the
Yes,
world
sir.
about saying,
I have
"Oh,
a brand
no."
new copier.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we no longer are leasing a copier, we purchased a new one.
So you're trying to create a line item for cell phone?
Yes, ma'am.
But you also need to move money into machinery and equipment to purchase a new phone?
Well, I wasn't
Rentals and
aware
contract.
of that. According to Greg, the phone was free. Now, I could be wrong, but there's a deal with AT&T where we can get free cell phone.
Yeah.
So the cost of the phone, is
Zero.
zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all I need to worry about is just the monthly expense.
Have we changed vendors? Because it used to be Verizon. Are we moving?
We've not officially.
Not officially, the sheriff's department did switch to AT&T because they were having a lot of dropped calls and problems with their computers not being able to get the reception that they needed. And so they did a test for over a month with AT&T hotspots, you might say, and they had much better reception and less drops in calls. So now, and AT&T is offering a better deal by providing the cell phone for free, and we just pay the monthly fee.
So the rentals and contracts, I thought we moved all of the money for IT-related equipment things to.
Not cell phones.
Not cell phones.
Yeah, but there's $3,500 here in rentals and contracts for a copier that was purchased through the IT department that we didn't move that money over with.
Well, when was that copier bought?
And first of this year, January 1.
Well, see, that's why. We didn't know that they were gonna get a new copier, I guess, at the beginning of the
Or it
budget.
may have been even.
That contract may have come from years ago too, where you had a multi-year contract, because some of the offices did have the multi-year contracts, and they didn't end until January the 1st.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
On the previous-
And I do have another item that comes out of rentals and contracts, but it's very nominal. It's what we pay the state for our monthly birth certificates, and it's like $20 a month. It's not very much at all.
I think what he's getting at is the same question I had. I thought we moved all copiers, purchases, and everything over to IT, so was this overlooked?
You had this through
Xerox, yes.
through
Lease.
Xerox, but it was also in conjunction with the other software company you had, was it not? ACS?
No, that was different. That came out of professional services.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess it was just overlooked.
I guess, yeah, I mean, the money was budgeted, originally, so, yeah. Apparently that just never got moved.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem with cell phones.
Because I'm not gonna be putting that much money in my budget next year for renewals and contracts.
So should we go ahead and move this money for all of what needs to be moved to the IT department? I mean, is that the best practice to do that, since the IT department's gonna be over the cell phone and copier and any other technology, I guess?
Well, copy is covered, and then the maintenance, which I think we have a maintenance agreement that covers all the copiers, not just each one individually.
Maybe that should be on a future agenda too.
We're gonna cover that when we work on the budget for next year, I believe.
No, he's talking about
But
now.
he's
aren't
talking
you?
about the money that's left in there now. Yeah, I understand, I don't know.
If IT needs the excess amount, then yes, we could do a budget amendment and move it. But, you know, if there's not a need for it, it's all gonna roll back into fund balance anyway.
That's true.
Sure.
And all I'm asking to move is like $300, so.
No, I mean, I agree with the cell phone. I'm just kind of trying to
No, I agree
be
with you.
consistent with what we do.
And it's possible that it could have just been left there in case I needed it for, you know, something else. I don't know.
Jesse will have a list of why it was there.
Yes.
Well, if there are no further questions, I'd like to make the motion that we create a new line item for the county clerk for cell phone services with funds from rentals and contracts to be moved to cover the cost of the cell phone for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Second motion.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 18 by Commissioner Walker, seconded by Commissioner Dobianski. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Agenda item number 19, don't leave yet.
I'm not.
Okay. Consider and take action to approve the addition of fraud alert protection to the Grimes County Clerk's Vanguard Records Management System by Co-File Technologies. See attachment number 19.
So this is something I'm really excited about, and I want to make everyone aware. Property fraud has become a big problem, especially in Texas. People are filing fraudulent deeds against property they don't own. They're filing judgments, they're filing liens. And as a county clerk, when we receive a document to be filed, we file it. If it meets all the requirements, we don't question the legality of it. We're not lawyers, we don't do research. So with that being said, there's a new program. It's called Property Fraud Alert, and it's offered by several different companies, but CoFile is our current provider, and they are offering this service to the county for an additional $100 a month. And it would be like an attachment or an addendum to our current contract. I did get a quote from another company, which I gave y'all from Data Preservation Solutions, that offers the same service, but their cost was quite higher. They wanted $2,500. What should be that number? So if $100 a month with CoFile would be $1,200 a year. With DPS, they wanted $2,500 the initial setup and a $1,950 a year annual support. So that came out to $4,450 if we were to go with them to get set up with that. Which, yeah. And plus, they don't have access to our data. We would have to transfer our data to their data. It would be very complicated. Going with CoFile is the easiest and best way to go. CoFile is a reputable company, and how the service works is it would be a free service to the public, and there would be a link on the county clerk's website. They would click on that link, and they could enter any name they want to. their name, a relative's name. And every time a document is filed in our office, they would get an alert, either by text, email, or by US mail, if they don't have an email address. And they get notified if something gets filed against them, their property, and then they can verify, yes, that's my transaction, or no, that I did not do that, and then they can seek legal action. But it's just to protect the community and the public, to make them aware that property fraud is real, and that this is a good way to help combat it. And I think $100 a month is well worth it.
Is this similar to what at least I hear on the radio on a regular basis, where they're talking about title insurance? Not title insurance, title fraud, where people are coming in claiming that they've bought your home, and the next thing you know, they're getting loans against the home, and then the next thing you know, the constable's at your door saying you got 3 days to get out.
It's very discerning, because these people, there was a man that was doing this from jail. He was in jail and still transferring property that he didn't even own. There was another man that was transferring property from people that had been deceased, using their names and forging their signatures. So it's a big problem, and it's sad that it's happening. But yes, it is very similar to that. And your property could be sold out from under you, and you wouldn't even know it until you get that knock on the door.
Yeah.
Let me ask another question, because I've dealt with this in real estate. In the sale, you get to the table and all these liens pop up that the owner knew nothing about. So, but the other question is, when there's an auction of property, is it an easier way for somebody to come in and say, hey, I want to see if there are any liens on this property, so that I'm not taking up somebody else's lien?
Right, and actually all of those liens that get filed would be on our public search website. So at any time, and it's updated daily. So anyone in the public can go to our website and search to see if a lien has been filed or a judgment has been filed. Or they can come to our office or call our office. But again, we don't do research, we just, file the documents,
So do I have to input my information, or can the public come in and say, hey, I was looking at buying this piece of property, is there any liens on it?
We get that all the time, yeah.
Yeah, I know
we get a
you
lot
do.
of people that come in and look, especially the ones, when they're auctioning off, they want to know more about the property before they buy it. So, yeah.
Okay.
But it's easy to use, and like I said, it would just be a link to our website, and they can enter in their information, either their name, usually it's name-based, and then you get an alert. And then we also get, keep track of that. We get a list of people that have signed up, and when something is flagged, we'll be notified as well.
And this is no charge to the Grimes County consumer?
Absolutely free.
Okay.
Well, no additional charge, this is tax money. I said this is tax money, so that essentially they've paid for it, but
no additional charge to the public?
There's not going to be charged for anything. Yeah, in the county, it's $101.52 to be exact. $101.52.
Sounds like a good idea.
I agree. Yes.
And you have that money in this, I think we just talked about it.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, and so what I did is I gave all each copy.
You're spending that copier money, Commissioner. You're gonna get it down to zero before we get out of here.
Of my recent co-file invoices, and every month we get a discount or a credit for all the transactions that have been purchased online. So as you can see, 1 month we got $374 credit. 1 month we got $861 credit. So this one more than paid for that 101.
So in other words, for the public, you have revenue coming in from co-file?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's kind of...
It more than pays for it, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. We've gotten probably over $2,000 in credits just the last few months.
So, but would this be coming out of rentals and contracts is the question?
No, actually it would be professional services, because
Professional
that's what
services.
co-file's being paid out of already. And so they would just add that to our monthly invoice.
Okay.
There are no further questions. I move that we approve the addition of fraud alert protection to the Grimes County Clerk's Vanguard Records and Management System by CoFile Technologies.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 19 by Commissioner Dobianski, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Any comments or questions? I do have one. How will we let the public know about this?
We can do several ways. We can do like a press release. They will provide us with literature, with handouts and flyers and mailers. So there's a lot of avenues that we can use. You know, we can use the website, we can use the newspaper, the radio. I think the more avenues we do use to get the word out, the better. And we could probably start this pretty quick.
You could do a video.
Yes.
I think all of these things are good, just like the reverse 911, just like this co-file. The problem is, we've got all these good things and our citizens aren't using them, or they're apprehensive, or bottom line, they just don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
They just
we'll
don't
do
know.
all we can to get the word out to the public.
Okay.
For sure.
We'll put that burden on your shoulders, okay? All right.
I'll take it.
With that, is there any other comment or discussion?
Can you give me who made the motion?
Commissioner Dobianski made the motion, Commissioner Mallett seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
County Attorney John C. Foltz, agenda item number 20. Consider and take action to approve emergency services agreement between CHI St. Joseph and Grimes County.
Yes.
And you have reinforcements with you.
Just in case.
Or the enemy is with you.
Not this time, Judge.
Okay.
I heard somewhere that y'all are having a meeting today, but I have not been able to break in the door.
Well, it's good to have you here,
Thank
Councilman.
you, thank you.
Good to see you.
Let me be honest with you, there's a certain amount of anxiety when I'm not in the room. I have no idea what you guys are doing.
Trust me, you should be in the
You should be
room.
watching on Facebook Live.
I don't want anyone to think that I have Facebook.
John, if it makes you feel any better, I have the same anxiety.
And you're here.
And I'm here.
I know you've had folks introduce themselves. I'm John Foltz, I'm the county attorney. This item has my title decided because I have been engaged with the members of your committee, Emergency Services Committee, those being Commissioner Walker and Commissioner Mallett, and Mr. Lilly's also been involved. We've been engaged in discussions with CHI. The administrator for the local hospital is here, Erin Marietta.
That's right.
I told her that she didn't have to stand at the podium because the Facebook Live camera is right up the backside of the guy standing at the podium. Anyway, we, as the court will recall, this item was on the agenda previously. We had a couple of matters that we still needed to resolve. We've had a couple of meetings to try to get that done, and you all granted an extension of the term of the last agreement so that we could get these things hammered out. The extension, though, expires today, and so it's the expectation, I think, of all involved that the court will approve this agreement today. Having said that, though, I'm not going to put you in a box, and if there are things that we need to continue to flesh out, we could certainly do an extension again, and I'm sure that CHI would be happy about that. Our preference, though, is to put this to bed. You all received, I think yesterday, the final draft. We were engaged in discussion/negotiations right up until yesterday. Got those final changes made, and then I asked Corey to disseminate the latest and the greatest. I understand that the judge found a couple of clerical errors that Corey resolved, and
I just did that to prove to you that I read what you send me, sir.
It's like a teacher with a student. I'm so proud of it. And then CHI wanted one last change, which I had actually previously handwritten but didn't get made, and that was to put your name beside county judge to be the person signing. So I will be happy to answer questions. If you're curious to know the things that we were hammering out right up until the 11th hour, I guess, were how to
phrase the default provisions and what happens when there's an alleged default by either party. I hope we did a good job of making it clear that if it's for a reason that involves liquidation or bankruptcy or some issue where one entity or the other were to go belly up, there's one provision that applies to that, and then there's another provision that talks about any other type of breach. And what we've agreed upon is a 90-day cure period, and that is, I think this has been symbiotic. We've got that facility over there that has the reversionary interest on it. We need to use that property as a hospital. The hospital knows that, but they also need a place, and they've done some improvements, and they want to stay there. And so I think this is a matter of just doing, reducing to writing what the parties believe will work best. And so I think the 90-day cure period is fine with me. It's an attempt to give the party who's claimed to have breached every opportunity to fix the claim breach. And then we added the complaint protocol. That was a big topic of conversation. We weren't asking CHI to create a new protocol for us. We were asking to insert into the agreement what is their complaint protocol, such that if somebody in the community has a complaint to make, but yet they call the county, where do we direct them or how do we direct them? And now that is in the document. And you know that institutional memory being what it is, that if all of us were wiped out, we would want to have in this document for the benefit of those who come after us exactly what that protocol is to look like. One other related issue was whether or not the county would be entitled to information about a complaint. It would be difficult for us to know when there were allegations in the community that St. Joe's wasn't living up to their end of the bargain, such that the county might want to consider termination or modification of the contract. You wouldn't know those things if the complaint protocol was followed and the complaint went through the phone number and CHI was the only one made aware of the complaint, unless that person who was upset called one of you all to say, hey, I've reported this over here, but nothing's being done. Well, so it seemed to me that because we know this is real, and then we know that there have been issues like this that have come up in the recent past that have caused the court to want to have more oversight, I think, of the contract. And so what we agreed to do was put in the contract that at your request, you're able to get a summary of the information of complaints. Now, understand, of course, they're up against HIPAA and some confidentiality provisions. We're not going to be releasing a whole lot of information that's specific to the person that made the complaint, or even the diagnosis potentially, or the medical issues, but a summary of how it went and a summary of things that would allow you to look at what took place and analyze and determine whether or not you believe that there was a breach or there was some issue that needed to be addressed further. There's also provision now for quarterly meetings that are going to take place where there's going to be a discussion between county officials and CHI about essentially how things are going. All of the folks at the table from St. Joe's have been easy to work with and more than accommodating as to the concerns that we had. And when I say we, I mean the two commissioners, and Mr. Lilly and myself. And so if there were additional concerns that you had about the substance of the document, I dare say that they would continue to be accommodating. So I don't want you to feel like this is being thrust upon you and there's no further room for negotiation. But I think we've handled all of the issues that have come up from our side that we want to see addressed. I think they've addressed them, and we've included those. And everything that's come up from CHI's perspective, I think we've addressed also. So present it to you. I understand that the judge asked that we bring multiple copies. I have multiple copies with the appropriate attachments as well as the last revisions, meaning adding Joe Faust's name as well as making the clerical errors that you asked that we make, changing objection to objective and maybe some other change. My suggestion would be to have you sign 2 originals today when we deliver 2 to Miss Marietta, and she takes them to the hospital to have them signed, and then now we get back an original and they have an original. This contract will be in place for multiple years, so probably a good idea for us to have an original. All right, I'll shut up now.
I'd like to say that we also received an email, and we appreciate the concerns that you saw the concerns we had. And I think the addition of the new director, EMS director, he's working very hard to make sure the ambulance protocols are followed, the timeline of response is improved upon. So yesterday he sent out information that you all are receiving a grant to install modems in the ambulance, that they now have a computer application called Zoll Rescue Net, and it's a dispatch services, and it shows the point at which the call comes in, where the ambulance is located. It follows the route of the ambulance, and it documents the time the person is picked up. It documents when they arrive at the hospital. So it was an awesome video to watch, and I appreciate that. And I want to say that they have worked, we worked very well together to try to resolve some of the issues we were having in that area, that we can be accountable to our citizens, that this is a good relationship with CHI St. Joseph. I appreciate Mr. Fultz for working through these document changes and finally coming up with a document. I think that we can say we can move into the future with, and that the periodic reviews will give us an opportunity also to, if we find things that we can look at and make adjustments. But I think it's a good document, because like he said, the terms of the document will be, I'm trying to find the effective date.
And that's on page 3.
Yes. This agreement is, the effective date would be for a period of 5 years, and then automatically renew for 2 terms, and then 2-year periods commencing on the 5th and the 7th anniversary dates, which is mimicking the same agreement we had before. So I think that we have kind of hammered this to death as much as we thought we could anyway. Commissioner Mallard, did you have any concerns?
No, I think you addressed everything well. I appreciate the cooperation and the forethought from CHI St. Joseph as well to put this together.
Do we have any questions?
Well, the question I have is not a question, just a statement. I'm still disappointed on the airfare, on the air transport, because I'm sorry?
He can address that.
By signing this contract, then we are out of the offer that Washington County has provided to us. And that's not that your air transport is not quality, but your airfare does not have sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone. i.e. Washington is going to provide high water rescue. They're going to provide fire support and those kind of things. And we're not going to get that out of CHI. And it's not a deal breaker, but it's still a disappointment that we're locked into the PHI. We've got to have them first call. And I mean, I've talked to Judge Durenberger over in Washington County, and he said, y'all can call us, but it's a service that we may or may not be able to. I'm sorry?
We've addressed it in
Well,
this
I'll be happy to
document.
talk to that. I don't know that it's going to be to your satisfaction, Judge. We've talked about a right of first refusal that gives St. Joe's the opportunity to say they have the availability to provide emergency medical services by way of the air transport. They get that shot first.
Right.
If they can't do it, then we can call somebody as a backup. You recognize, I know, that both of these entities have as their business model that their primary income comes from air medical.
Correct.
And so both of them are asking you to give them that primary ability to make money.
Right.
And if you were to say to either one or the other, it's going to be a pick and choose, I think they're both going to be disappointed, and they're both going to say to you, financially, we don't know that we can do this. And so you're making a decision, and I'll let Erin talk if she wants to, and I'll step back, stand in front of the camera if you like, about their continuity of care.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that they wanted to say to us at the table is, and you can consider it real, or you can consider it fluff, or you can consider it salesmanship, but there's some reality there, and that is being able to be involved integrally from the beginning of the case to the time they get to the hospital and treatment at the hospital, knowing all of the factors that go into it, that patient's assessment, diagnosis, whatever it is, you're having to decide what's best for your constituents. And I certainly don't disagree with you. I saw their helicopter in Washington County the other day. I drove by there and they offer air rescue, which they've said to us they're not going to turn down requests for air rescue, assuming they have availability. I will tell you that St. Joe's was certainly understanding of that, but they stood their ground to say our business model is based upon doing air medical, and we just can't agree that somebody else is going to come in at your whim whenever you decide to call somebody else. And so make no mistake about it, we have addressed it. And there are two provisions that talk about it, but effectively it puts St. Joe's in the position to tell us whether or not they can handle the transport that we're looking for before we can move to the second level or the second provider.
And that's, I mean, you can talk if you want, but I understand that from the contract. I felt just an obligation to express that disappointment that we cannot offer that to our citizens if we sign this contract. And I don't think this is a bad contract.
I understand it, and I certainly think CHI understands that sentiment. I certainly understand that sentiment. If it comes with air rescue, it comes with other things, why would you not be interested in going that direction? But you're having to make a business decision as to if both of these folks say our model is based principally upon air medical and we can't survive without it, you're going to have to pick one of us or the other. Well, you know you need the hospital. You know that we've got this relationship there. When I say you know the people of Grimes County need that hospital. And so you're left with what you're left with, and we have to hope that either we'll work out something in the future with Brenham or they'll be responsive when and if those times come.
And I know the hospital in Navasota is going to be used far more frequently than the high water rescue and the fire rescue. I get that.
That's right.
Yeah, and and I'll just make a couple comments. Thanks, John, and thank you.
You just want to be on Facebook.
I do not, actually. I'm a little terrified about this, but the one good thing that I wanted, so yeah, John did talk about Continuum of Care, which we've talked about. It's extremely important from us. You know, my perspective as your local hospital administrator is to ensure that the Grimes County residents, when treated in our hospital, rather a small hospital, that we have the ability to transport them and get them to the right level of care to be taken care of. The other part of that I hope that you feel confident with is that our EMS leadership teams really built extremely strong mutual aid agreements and relationships with other counties, surrounding counties. So I feel very strongly that as we move forward in this relationship, we will continue to grow our relationship with Washington County. We've reached out, there've already been conversations back and forth so that we can assure that if we cannot take care of the needs of patients, that we do know who is available. So our concern is always patients first, and if we cannot attend to the patient's needs, we will be sure to get someone in here who can. So, thank you, Barbara, commissioners, I really appreciate it. It's been I think a long process for us to come here, but I think that it's the right decision for your constituents.
Thank you.
Can I get your name again?
Yes, Erin Marietta.
With an E?
E-R-I-N-M-A-R-I-E-T-T-A.
M-A-R-E-T-T-A. Thank you very much.
Okay, and also I wanted to, I know that Washington County talked about they're just starting their program. So some of the services aren't available for another year or two. So we definitely want to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward when it comes down to response to our citizens. So I look forward to them working with them and us too as they continue to grow.
And I'll say, Commissioner, and I'm supposed to be the draftsman, I don't know that I'm supposed to be an advocate, but you have the waiver, 1115 waiver, whatever that is, where CHI continues to be able to survive using indigent care or funds that are related to indigent care. I know all of you appreciate that we would be in a different world with a lot of folks that would be extremely nervous if Grimes County had no hospital at all.
I agree.
And this contract ensures that, at least for the time being, we continue to have a hospital. Sure.
Although this is an EMS service contract, we have a separate one for that.
Yes, somewhat related, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, in most hospitals right now, I say most, a majority of them are in a
Yes.
crisis situation.
Yeah.
As we sit here and talk about it, so.
Yes.
Is there a motion on the agenda item number 20?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the emergency services agreement between CHI St. Joseph and Grimes County.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 20, by Commissioner Walker, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you,
Bet.
Aaron.
If you don't wanna, if you wanna hang on, I'll get.
I
we're
will,
gonna-
yeah, I'll sit right
all
over
right.
there. Thank you.
Agenda item number 21, consider and take action to exercise a discretionary exemption pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 26262.024 for certain capital improvements at the Grimes County Fairgrounds.
Judge and Commissioners, I volunteered to put the item on the agenda. I've talked with Commissioner on this. Commissioner Cox is aware of the circumstance, and Randy's here if you want to hear from Mr. Krieger about circumstance, and I see Talita and waiting in the wings, as it were. The issue is that there were invoices presented to the auditor's office, and there's a question of whether they exceed $50,000 or not for expenditures at the fairgrounds. I think the number is something in the neighborhood of 60,000 or 62,000, something.
68.
68,000. 64?
64 is what
I hear 60.
It's over 50.
Yes. And so the auditor's office has asked how the court or how we as a county intend to deal with that. I can let Mr. Krieger tell you about the expenditures, but suffice to say that they're primarily for flooring. And after the original flooring was done in the hall, Mr. Krieger became aware that there was additional flooring that needed to be made or needed to be replaced. And so that led to additional flooring that appeared to need to be replaced. I don't recall, and I'll let him tell us, like I said, Commissioner Cox and I have met with Mr. Krieger. We met out at the facility. I don't recall the extent of damage to the prior floor, but you have in this circumstance the opportunity potentially to declare it to be a discretionary exemption based upon damage to public property. There's some other exemptions that we can look at, but effectively for a bill that is in, or bills that are in this circumstance, there's not a whole lot that you can do retroactively, and so we're analyzing what to say, how these expenditures are valid, and so that's what we're addressing today. And certainly the auditor's office is welcome to offer their input, and I'll shut up. But I advised Mr. Krieger that I would put it on the agenda. As I typically do, I talk way too much when it has my name by it, and so it's time for me to step aside, I think.
Judge and Commissioners, did you know we had the capital improvement projects?
Can I get you to identify yourself
Yes,
by
Randy
name?
Krieger, and I am the Fairgrounds Manager.
Thank you.
And part of that was to replace the flooring in the main hall. And we actually went in and had to grind that floor because it was very unlevel. The old style tile, which is similar to this, was worn in a lot of places, not at the main hall. And when you come in the door, over by the kitchens and the restroom areas, it was just ground down. So I actually contacted a company who did the work last year for us. That is a Smart Buy. I think they're on the Smart Board or Smart Buy. And I contacted them. They came out and gave me a price of what they thought it would take to do the main floor. And their price came in at about, I think $80,000. And obviously I thought, that was way out of, $84,000. So then I contacted two other commercial flooring companies and got prices from them. And Conjura Tile came in the least expensive. And just to do the main floor, to prep it and do the main floor, one bid item was $2,000
to prep the floor was $15,000, and to lay the LVT was $22,600. And so, once we got into that, we started that, and then we obviously were going to do the restrooms. We talked about doing the restrooms. When we pulled the toilets up, we realized we've got a problem with a drain in the kitchen that was tied into that, and we had busy events. When those toilets start flushing, it would back up in the kitchen.
Not a good thing.
Not a good thing. So we had to go in and break that out, take all that out, plug that, cap it off, and then we got a bid. I got a price from them to lay the tile back in the kitchen, which to do all that work was $12,600. At that point, when I submitted the statement, then I realized, okay, now we're over $50,000. And so, but they invoiced me for I have four different invoices. None of them are over $50,000, but then when I talked with Talia, when she called me, she said, you can't go over $50,000 with one company in a calendar year. So that's the situation that we're in. I did get competitive bids. Unfortunately, we're in this position now, and I think you've been to see it, and I know the commissioner, Talia and John were out to look at the thing. The work's completed. I did contact them, and they brought another company in to put an epoxy coating in the bar area. We decided not to do the LVT tile in the bar because of so much moisture. He just didn't think it was a good option, so he brought another company in from San Antonio, and they did the epoxy. That was on the initial thing that we were questioning, and I asked them to have that company bill me separately so we could delete that off here. I don't know if it helps any, but it slows the bleeding a little bit from the wound, but that's the situation that we're in. So I've talked to the company, explained to him what we were up against. They are a major floor company. They do all 85% of Walmart's, Kohl's, Target's, all of them. So he's used to government processes, and he's not hounding us for our money. He just said, hey, when you get it worked out, let me know what we need to do, and they'll be here for us. So.
Well, as far as the 50,000, if we had bids beforehand, but it came in under, but it was additional work, that's that kind of what falls under the exemplary discretion?
Well, the issue is when Mr. Krieger's saying bids, he's talking about he got quotes. And so it's not going in the paper, it's not giving everybody under the sun, in theory, the opportunity to bid on the project. That's the issue. And so when and if the 50 we were going to exceed the 50, that would have been the time to say, oh, wait a second, let's go out for bids. It's difficult to do mid-project, et cetera. And so now we stand here saying, this circumstance has happened. Does this fall within a discretionary exemption such that there is no bidding issue that's applicable? I will tell you that, as is always the case, and you guys know this as well as I do, when it comes to open meetings, a lot of the questions as to whether or not there was a violation has to do with intent. And so if there was an intent here of, hey, I'm going to use a brother-in-law, or hey, I'm going to do 5 different invoices so that I can sneak in different invoices at different times, if that was the kind of thing we're talking about, I'd say there's a real concern here. But when it's not that, and we know that in all the circumstances of the county, we're asking real people to apply this, silly thing that lawyers came up with, and even lawyers don't know what it says. That's why I bring it every time, because I don't know what it says. I don't want to tell myself I know what it says without opening. So I'm convinced that what's at the heart of this issue is the intent, and I don't see anything that cause me any concern about the intent. And so where we are now is, you as a court, to approve the bill, obviously you've got to think that it's valid, it's lawful. The auditor has that role as well, is they don't approve a bill unless they think it's valid and lawful. We needed to have this conversation to walk through it, to work through it. I'm okay with what trajectory the court chooses, but I will tell you that we can sit, this would be a real theological discussion, let's say, or what do you want to say about theological? It can be about theory, theoretical discussion. But at the end of the day, if the county doesn't pay, guess what the county gets? A lawsuit for work that's already done. And with that lawsuit, if it's an alleged breach of contract, potentially you have attorney's fees that have to be paid. Now, there may be a claim of immunity, maybe multiple other things, but at the end of the day, you don't want to have a business reputation of having folks come in who perform the work. And I assume that you all have seen the work, and the flooring has been replaced. That thing is covered in flooring out there. And it looks good, the hall looks good. And so do the other rooms, but the hall, you walk in and it's eye-opening. Anyway, all to say, you're in a place now where you've got to decide what you deem is appropriate here, and I think what the heart of this issue is the intent, and I don't see anything here that causes me real concern about that.
So, I was gonna add, so once you got into the project and you found the plumbing created a health and safety issue, so that was unforeseen. So
The other situation is, if I might, is that I had weekends that we did not have a booking for that weekend, so I had these things scheduled, but when we got the notice that, hey, we have to shut down, we can't do anything, it was a prime opportunity for us to get in there and get this thing done now while I've got, the people that were there, that we could get it done, and it, rather than having to try to go out, run ads in the paper for 2 weeks, and then by the time we get the results back, then we have a meeting, then we award the contract, and we get that data, sign the contract, get it back. We'd have been 6 weeks, and I've been out of this, and now I've got it, now we've got it starting with the fair this week. I knew I just had that amount of time, so I don't know if that's a defense or not to say, hey, we were in a time crunch because of the COVID-19 shutdown, that we saw a prime opportunity to get in there, get it fixed and get it done. And as we got into it, then it just started snowballing.
And the initial low quote was at $30,000.
Right.
yeah, that's what I was saying. So what we got into was a health and safety issue
Right.
that we didn't know that was there. So it was unforeseen. So
Which would tie into this discretionary exemption.
Yeah, and you keep in mind, I think that's accurate, but keep in mind, you're trying to get the taxpayer the biggest bang for the buck. And I'm hearing Mr. Krieger say that that's what he did, and he was trying not to sacrifice the time that the fairgrounds would have been down and losing money.
Right.
Sometimes it's form over substance, but I mean, it is what it is. The law is what the law is. You're now in a place where you have to analyze what's taking place and decide what you feel comfortable with. And at the end of the day, I think it's about intent, and I just don't see an intention to get around bidding for the purpose of something malicious, something improper. That's my point.
Commissioner, you had something?
Sure, I've got a couple of comments on this deal. I would, I don't know, I guess agree or disagree with the county attorney. I believe there was intent here, but I believe that intent was to prevent further damage from the public property out there, the fairgrounds. And there was definitely an issue that came up that could have influenced or had a negative impact on public health with regard to the sanitation. And I certainly don't believe in any way that Mr. Krieger did anything malicious, did anything. I mean, he's a human, and he was taking action, doing exactly what we had asked him to do with regard to capital improvements, and he made a mistake. And we have to take into consideration there's a statute that addresses some of these issues and how things are to be handled. But if you look at the intent, I don't believe it was his intent to circumvent the formal bidding process. He's got 3 or 4 quotes in his notebook that show his intent was not necessarily to do that. The formality of the process probably should have been handled a little bit different, but at the end of the day, I mean, he messed up doing what he was supposed to be doing, and I'm asking the court to approve the bill, and I'm asking the auditor to pay it.
Is that in the form of a motion?
I will make a motion if no other comments are made that we exercise a discretionary exemption pursuant to the Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024, for certain capital improvements at the Grimes County Fairgrounds.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 21 by Commissioner Cox, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That bill will be paid. Thank you, Mr. C. John C.
Thank you, Judge. I will stay in the green room. If you need something, I will be.
Okay, all right. We're going to go to agenda item number 22, Road and Bridge Engineer Harry Walker. Consideration and possible approval of a renewal of special road use and indemnity agreement for L.E. Myers. See attachment number 22.
Judge, after we do this agreement, I've got to go look at it.
Sure.
I need to meet.
This is, if the judge just read a renewal of the road use permit for L.E. Myers. This is on 304, 344, Gilbert Havelock. It's part of the ongoing construction of they're adjusting the transmission lines across the 249 alignment. They thought they were going to be finished by this point in time, but they're not, so they've asked for a renewal. We're recommending approval.
This is in my precinct, and if there are no questions on it, I move that we approve the renewal of the special road use indemnity agreement for L.E. Myers to continue their work in that area.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 22 by Commissioner Dobianski, seconded by Commissioner Cox. Is there further comment or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. That votes 4-0. Commissioner Walker stepped out. Agenda item number 23, accept 2019 Road and Bridge Road Condition Report Supplement, number 23.
The agenda items should actually read summary instead of supplement.
Okay.
This is something new that y'all haven't seen before because we haven't done it in the past. As a part of the new TxDOT CTIF grant package, they are requiring that we submit an annual road condition report. Look through the this is not something that Road and Bridge has done in the past. I looked through the statutes, and it's questionable whether the statutes that require this actually apply to counties that are under the unit system. But out of an abundance of caution to make sure we qualify for this grant, we went ahead and prepared a report. This is the first time, so it's going to be kind of rough. It hasn't been really polished up. But basically what we've had to do is go through every road in the county and do a general assessment of the road conditions and the causes of deterioration of the road. I passed out the summary, the text portion for you, and a few of the statistics. And there are a couple of copies of the actual report with all the colored 11x17 front and back pages. I think there are 19 pages. Assess the different segments of each road within each precinct based on whether they're paved or not. There's like 6 different categories of paving. So there's a lot of data there. I will send the electronic files to everyone if y'all are interested in it. And again, it's a little rough, but basically it gives you a snapshot of what the condition and the main issues on all our roads are. With that said, it's not, we're not asking for an approval, we need to have it in the meeting minutes that the court has accepted the annual road condition report for 2019. And then this will go in this afternoon as an attachment to the grant application.
Can I show my ignorance and ask what is HMAC?
Hot mix asphalt and cement.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah,
The good stuff, that's right.
I don't see that very often, so we don't spend that money.
Well, if you look at the little summary table I attached to the report,
This one back here?
yeah, it's kind of interesting. Concrete, hot mix, asphalt, rock, gravel, and dirt are the categories that we have. And there are, I think, 91 miles of roads in the county that are still classified as dirt. And only like 2 miles are concrete.
Yeah.
So there's lots of work that can and should be done over time. So, yeah, the hot mix, we've got about half as many miles of hot mix as we have of dirt roads in the county. There's still plenty of room for improvement.
Sure. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
With that, we'll go to agenda item number 24. County Judge Joe Fath, consider and take action regarding the burn ban and authorize the county judge as signatory. My recommendation and what I've been guided is to take no action. Agreed? Okay, no action on number 24. Agenda item number 25, receive any updates on the strategic plan. Anybody have anything to update there? Hearing none, seeing none. Agenda item number 26, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Let the record show, County Clerk, before we adjourn, that Commissioner Dobianski had to exit at 11:32. There's a motion to adjourn by Commissioner on agenda item number 26 by Commissioner Walker, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there any discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.